no matter how hot or how amazing a set looks, if Pokemon prints them to the ground and print a lot, and I really think Prismatic Evolutions is going to be heavily printed, you're going to get opportunity to buy them at around MSRP. I think if you do buy a bunch of MSRP, you're pretty safe, but to pay like double, to pay 90, 100, or maybe $110 in when it releases, which I do anticipate it being really high for the first month or two before other products get reprinted, you're not doing very well, because history will repeat itself. If you look at some past examples of
Hi everybody, welcome back to Poke S&P episode 8. Last episode we talked about how to navigate the 2024 bull market. Surgeon Spark booster boxes are selling for $200 plus. Prismatic Evolution ETB pre-orders are selling out fast, causing a price hike of pre-orders being around $80 to $100 range. So these things alone showed us that the Pokemon boom is still going super strong. I don't even think we have hit the peak yet. What do you think, Jesse?
Yeah, I think right now we're in a very unique timeline in the Pokemon hobby, because I anticipated the bull run to come closer to the end of 2025 and lead up to the 30th anniversary celebrations in 26. But there's a lot of factors that led to the premature start of this bull run, because it was due having 2 years of relatively in terms of like sales. I know people are gonna say like they printed a lot, but in terms of interest in the market, English, especially English, like modern, as in the imprint sets, have been a lot lower in terms of the price, because the MSRP actually climbed to 161, but most of the sets are still going for $100 $110 a release. So you would think, and also like the English vintage market has been relatively flat after the correction in 2021 and 22. So you would think that it would come closer to the 30th anniversary, which happened multiple times in the past 10 years. If you think about it, 2016 was a high when Pokemon Go was around, and that was 20th anniversary. And then 25th anniversary, we had the celebration of the quarter century, the pandemic, the Logan Paul influencers and everything. And obviously that is another peak. So you would think the next peak was in 5 years, but it got pushed forward by, I would say, a variety of factors. And the most important one, I would say, is 151, bringing a lot of people back in. We have so many people coming in. It's like, hey, I got back into it because this 151 set reminds me of my childhood. Number 2 is TCG Pocket. I think that's like an underrated part of this whole equation. There's so many people that came to me and be like, hey, I started this TCG Pocket thing, and I remember you guys are collectors, so can you show me some physical cards? I want to get into it. So TCG Pocket 151, obviously the crypto bull run, Bitcoin hitting all-time highs, and yeah, like a combination of everything, and obviously very strong sets leading into 2025. I do believe this will be an extended bull run that would last longer than some of the previous ones. So in my head, obviously, this is just a prediction. I think it will last through 2025 to beginning in 26, and you're going to see the correction heading into Q2 and Q3 of 26, similar to what we experienced back in 2021 after the 25th anniversary. So I'm very excited to see. I'm also a little bit nervous when it comes to not being able to get products, even as not just a collector, but as a shop, and not being able to fulfill demand. And yeah, so super excited, but also a bit nervous.
Yeah, with the recent 151 Blooming Water collection box, these pre-orders like literally gone in 60 seconds. And what's even crazier is that these pre-orders won't even arrive until next year. January for Prismatic Evolution, and then February for the 151 Blooming Water collection. So I think with all the craziness that's been going on, we should really talk about like the do's and do nots of collecting in this hobby or even investing, especially during the period of crazy demand. So going right into it, one of my suggestion is to pre-order early, especially from big box retailers. And the reason that you want to order from big box retailer, I underline that, is because with such high demand products, big box retailers won't charge you upfront, and they will charge you when they ship the item because they're being released like 2 or 3 months later down the timeline. So you don't want to park your money into a online shop that may not completely fulfill your order at a later date. And even worse, they may charge you a restock fee, or you would have problems getting back your money. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's really important when you highlighted big box retailers because my wife and I have owned an LGS for the last 4.5 years. So we're pretty established with the distributors here in Canada, but so far we have not gotten our numbers. I know some of the US distributors have released their allocations in the last like few days. This is only very recent, right? So anybody that was trying to sell you pre-orders and have you pay beforehand before last week was basically just using the customer's money as an interest-free short-term loan. So that's why you get a lot of cancellations when you order from shops that are not big box retailers. And the cost of your money is pretty high right now. So let's say you're putting $1,000 into Prismatic Evolutions at pre-order prices very early, and you think you're going to be getting that much product, and then they cancel it, and now like the $1,000 product might be 1,500. You not only lost out on the potential earnings that your $1,000 could have made you in the last 2 months, but also now you have to spend another 50% to buy something higher. So pre-ordering early from big box retailers is really important. And that's like obviously not to our benefit because we're not a big box retailer. We actually own a small game shop. So right now we're trying to give the most objective advice, not based on like our financial benefits. So absolutely try and find big box retailers to pre-order from, and even they would cancel orders quite a bit. Like I remember back in 21, there's a lot of order cancellations from GameStop as well. But the very least, your money would not be tied up for 2 months. Like PokeSun
Yeah.
has said, because they're not going to charge you until they ship. So pre-order early from big box retailers is definitely the number one advice that we want people to take away.
Yeah, and it's easy to cancel. Big box retailers are not gonna not let you cancel or penalize you or blacklist you like maybe certain local store shop may. But Jesse, how are you going to handle the prismatic pre-order situation as a business owner?
So, CJ and I will never put out pre-order on a product unless we know for sure we're getting the numbers that we're getting. So before we do that, it's not going to happen. But I'm really anticipating not getting too many of these, and having product at the shop is pretty important. So let's say we get only 100 UTBs or something, for example, or maybe under like 200, we would probably only put out a little bit pre-order and keep most of it at the shop, because if you pre-sell most, like it's going to be gone at MSRP, or most of the prices that we're going to put it out in probably a day. Having product at the shop is pretty important for a local shop, so we're probably not going to do that until we know the numbers for sure. And we pride ourselves for never canceling any pre-orders, and we always put out pre-orders at or below MSRP. I remember during the hype back in 2021, or actually no, the most recent one is 151 booster bundles. We put out pre-orders, and for some reason our allocation got cut by our distributors. So we had, I remember, 10 or 15 pre-orders that we couldn't fulfill, and at the time prices have already climbed like 20-30%. So I remember CJ going to every Toys R Us and lining up at every shop trying to
Wow.
buy them at like 40 USD or something, and we were pre-selling them at like 30 or something. So I remember we took a loss on 10 booster bundles because of the shortage of product, but we don't want our customers to tie up their money and not get the product at what they're originally ordering, at the price that they were originally ordered. So we took a loss on 10 or 15 booster bundles and fulfilled them. So that's going to continue. We will never cancel any pre-orders. If we are short, we're going to go buy more product and take a loss and make sure the customers get their product for the price that they paid for, um, hopefully
Yeah.
around release date.
Wow. Yeah, that's really impressive because a lot of store owners would just cancel and refund and that would be the end of it, and they wouldn't go out of their way to go buy a product for a marked up price or the market price of 20 to
Mhm.
30% more for their
Mhm.
customers. That's not something that a lot of shops do because they can't take the loss. So
Yeah.
it's very admirable that you guys do that as store owners.
Yeah, because we think of there's many customers that they only have a certain budget to buy a set that they really want. So they've trusted us with their money. They're like, hey, I can only order, 2 or 3 or 4 for this set. And if they put their money at Van City Pokemon, they probably didn't put their money elsewhere. And if the release date comes, they're really happy. It's like, hey, I pre-ordered early, I bought it for under market. Now I'm ready to rip some 151, and you tell them, hey, it's canceled. Sorry. Like,
Yeah.
that's gonna leave a bad taste in their mouths, and a lot of
Yeah.
people, like normal folk with a limited budget monthly, it's gonna be very tough for them to recover from it if they do want to open 151. So we don't want that to happen. And unfortunately, a lot of the other shop owners don't think like that. It's just dollars and cents and profits for them. So that's why
Yeah.
we really want to tell everybody that's watching this podcast, first of all, order from big box retailers first if the price is the same, because even compared to us, they know that they're going to get the product that they probably know. They have a better understanding of their numbers than we do, because sometimes
Yeah.
the distributors will tell us something and then they will be like, oh, I'm sorry, like, we don't have enough product, so I'll give you 30% less, for example. And number two, it's also, if you were to order from shops, please order from the shops that have a good reputation. So like people
Mhm.
like Brian Pokiani, obviously, if you trust us and come to us. And also, like, finding the absolute cheapest deal online is usually not the best idea, because
No.
you
Yeah.
find the cheapest, lowest possible price from a company that's not so reputable, chances are you're gonna get your order canceled, or worse, we're going to disappear and take your money. And it's happened multiple times in the 2020 to 21 boom. And I assure you that's going to happen in the next 2 years as well, as we head into the bull market.
Yeah, reputation is everything, especially in a small Pokemon community where people know your name. And so people will come back to you, obviously, if you fulfilled your end of the bargain as a store owner. I want to touch on the next point, which is to use some type of stock alerts and drop notification that's quick. I'm curious, do you use any restock alerts or do you follow anyone like on Twitter to get alerts?
So I personally don't really have time to do that, but I do have a group chat within our close group of friends in Vancouver. Like, Thomas is a really good friend of ours, and he does follow everything on every Discord channel, and he always posts in our group chat every time there's some alert. So he's
Yeah.
kind of like my human uh, stock restock alert.
Yeah.
Um, so I personally don't have to do that, but yeah, if I didn't have a guy like Thomas helping me out, I probably would do it myself. But I'm just super lucky to be in these groups with friends that do it for me. So
Yeah. So be in a group with people
yeah.
who have access or will notify you right away. I just joined like a new Discord group. It's free. It's called Passive Collectibles. That provides free bot alerts and notifications. That's way faster than TCG or Pokemon drops on Twitter. So if you're interested, I'm gonna drop the link down in the description so that way you can get notified and updated whenever a restock happens. So I was able to get notified on restocks for Target and Prismatic ETB drops. So I was able to pick some up. And so I
Hmm.
would recommend you guys trying out those restock notification on
What
Discord.
was the price that you got from Target?
It was $54 USD. So a little
Mm,
bit like $4 or $5 over MSRP. But a lot of big box retailer restock, they get like botted, I think. So I think the bots would just pick it up right away. So you only have maybe like 10 to 15 seconds to pick up something. And so
yeah.
once you get that notification, you better, have your payment ready, all entered, credit card information. It's
Man, the
pretty
bots are
stressful.
on again. I remember, so this was during celebrations, the celebrations UPC
Mhm.
release. And at the time was super tough. One of my so this is one of my partners, my CTO at a previous company that I
Mm,
built, and he's a really really good hacker, and he's someone that builds these bots, right? So he knows nothing about Pokemon. So as we were trying to get more celebrations UPC, he sent me a picture, warehouse number one, warehouse number two, warehouse number three. And I was like, whoa, full of UPCs. I thought it was like some other distributor. He's like, no, it's mine. I was like, what? He's like, he built a bot and bought out every single chapters Indigo restocks in Canada because they I don't know if you guys have chapters in Indigo in the US as well, right?
I don't know what
It's
that.
like a bookstore chain. So
Oh, no, we
he
don't.
looked into those because they have like a very bad security on their site. So he pretty much created a bot to target every single chapters in Indigo, and he bought like I
Wow.
think $150,000 dollars worth of celebrations UPCs,
It's
and he
crazy.
sold most of it. Um, I think he made like a $250,000 profit and bought a house with it. And I
Bought
was
a
like,
house with it? Oh
yeah,
my
yeah, he
god.
bought a house with it. And I was like, damn, that's absolutely insane. Well, good for you. He's like, yo, well, thank you for getting me back into the hobby. I was like, okay, I don't
Wow.
condone this behavior, but
Yeah.
there are people that are very technical out there that are doing it. And whenever opportunity arises, that will be a major problem, I think, heading into 2025. So I really think all of these shops, like whether it's big box retailers, your LGS or Target, they really need to find a way to combat these bots because you don't want um, the resellers to get everything. You want
Yeah.
consumers to come and get it. So having a limit of 2 or 3 per customer, I think, is a must because once that's put in place, it's a little bit tougher because the bots will come up with like 1,000 different addresses and like similar to what Pokemon Center did for the last one. I think it's a lot better than what they had before. But yeah, like a limit per customer, or some sort of they need to hire like security people to really fix up the site so the bots don't take everything within 10 minutes, like you mentioned.
Yeah. One other tip that I would like to give the viewers is to look in directions where others aren't looking, which is something that you've preached multiple times in the
Yeah.
past episodes.
Hmm.
So while everyone is focusing on Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions, ETB, or even 151, the Blooming Water collection, there are a bunch of other alternative sets that are worth looking into instead. Like
Hmm.
for examples, Haldean Fates, ETBs, or Crown Zenith, Shiny
Hmm.
Treasure. People are also aren't looking into Sword and Shield boxes either. I feel like because
Hmm.
everybody is hyper focused and FOMOing. But I've been picking up Sword and Shield booster boxes myself, left and right.
I see. I see them post.
I'm trying
Being
to pick
super
up as
sneaky, buying some. It's kind of crazy because Evolving Skies is still looking like the graph is going up really high, but there are a lot of people selling them for well under like TCG player prices, on like Facebook Marketplace and stuff because they're trying to buy Surging Sparks. I saw a post the other day on Facebook, and someone's like trying to trade an Evolving Skies box for a Surging Sparks ETB, or multiple Evolving Skies box for Surging Sparks. And I was like, hey, maybe that's not a very bad deal when you think about it.
Yeah, or even people trying to trade their Surging Spark cases for like Chilling Reign booster box cases or Fusion Strike booster box cases. I've seen a couple posts about that. But yeah, I would definitely try to look at things that people aren't looking at. So
Mhm.
that way you're not battling all these bots
Yeah, exactly.
and shop
Um,
in peace.
Yeah, I think we've preached this multiple times, but I really think Paldean Fates is a super overlooked set. And I think recently the prices have gone up quite a bit, but they were at like 35 to $40 in ETB for like the entire lifespan of that set. Right. If you look at that set, it's you got the Bubble Mew, you got the Shiny Charizard EX, like the black one.
Yeah.
With the crown. You got the beautiful Gardevoir, SIR, gorgeous card. You have the shiny vault with the Pikachu, Charmander, Eevee, and that's
The list goes
well,
on.
yeah, the list goes on. You know, a shiny vault's probably on par, if not better than Hidden Fates, Shining Fates, and all the other shiny vaults that
Sure.
came out in sets. So, and now the Bubble Mew being absolutely going crazy, it's like $1,000 card now in PSA 10 or close to it.
Wow.
Um, I think that set is still overlooked, and you can actually still buy them for around, I think, $50, which is still very low in my opinion. It's like around MSRP, compared to, um, Prismatic Evolutions or Surging Sparks or 151. People tripping over themselves to get those sets. You can look into a set that's easier to get, and that gives you a really good opening experience. Like Powder Fates gives you an incredible list of cards that you can pull, and also great long-term potential because of how strong that set is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely look into those. Yeah, like you said, Paldeum Fates is creeping up, so definitely try to catch it before it explodes any further.
Yeah, before the other people are tripping over themselves to get Paldean Fates too, because by that time comes, it's going to be a bit too late. But again, like, don't complain about it after, because you had your opportunity 2 months ago, a month ago, even now. But you're going to see a bunch of people in 2 months say, oh man, like, I never could get myself an ETB of Paldean Fates now because it's $120.
Gosh. For our next point of what not to do um, during the collecting and the crazy Pokemon manias. Do not follow the hype. I know that sounds very cliche, but there's going to be reprints for these younger
Mm,
sets,
yes.
like Surgeon Sparks. You can still find Surgeon Spark products, like the price per pack for cheap, like the sleeve packs, the 3 blisters, and the lunch box. I would look at some other products, not just the booster box, if you want to open for
Hmm.
fun, and wait for the booster box to come down at a later time, because there's going to be reprints for
Hmm.
Surgeon Sparks.
Yes. And also, no matter how hot or how amazing a set looks, if Pokemon prints them to the ground and print a lot, and I really think Prismatic Evolutions is going to be heavily printed, you're going to get opportunity to buy them at around MSRP. So that's really important. I think if you do buy a bunch at MSRP, you're pretty safe. But to pay like double, like to pay like 90, 100, or maybe $110 in when it releases, which I do anticipate it being like really high for the first like month or two before other products get reprinted. You're not doing very well, because history will repeat itself. If you look at some past examples of sets that are super hot, um, that was at the peak of the market, like double MSRP at release, they usually have really large reprints, like multiple really large reprints. Like Hidden Fates and Shining Fates are two shiny examples. And yeah, so Hidden Fates
Mhm.
obviously being a very strong set, it never really came back down to MSRP, but it stayed at around 100, 150 dollars for like 4 years, because that set was heavily reprinted 4 times, if I remember correctly. And Shining Fates is another example. They got reprinted so hard that you can still find them at distribution, because it was literally released at the peak of the hype, in early 2021, and people were tripping over themselves like they are right now to get that set. And because that set is a weaker set, and the only real chase is the Charizard Shiny Charizard VMAX, that is still being sold at below MSRP because they're still available at distribution. So those are the two examples. Prismatic Evolutions will go either and follow the footsteps of Hidden Fates or Shining Fates. In my opinion, I do think it will be closer to Hidden Fates, because Shining Fates is a way weaker set, and Prismatic Evolution is a very, very strong set. It might be even stronger than Hidden Fates with the Master Ball reverses. So,
Absolutely.
but I also don't think it's going to be like $150 and then $200 and $250 right off the bat, because they will, now that they know the bull market's coming and the demand for the set, they will print the crap out of it. And it's going to be reprint after reprint. I really think for this set and into 26 and potentially like even maybe 2027.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's a great set, so it's never gonna fall below like MSRP, or if it does, not too long. But it also won't be as crazy as people expect it to be, like a $200 box within a year and never come down, just
No.
because they do have the ability to reprint it over and over again for the next 2 years.
So that kind of flows over to our next point of do not overpay because of all the possibility of reprints, and because now Pokemon company is aware of the demand, they're going to print Prismatic Evolution
Yeah,
over and over for sure. 100% with a popular set like that, they're going to want to make their money.
yeah. There's no shot they don't reprint Prismatic Evolutions.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one other thing, do
Mm.
not buy first to market
Oh,
PSA 10 slabs like the Pikachu SIREX.
oh my God.
The
Yeah,
PSA 10 was going for 3K or closer to 3K, and then it's been between 2 to 3, but last sold just came down to like around 1950.
yeah. And I think I talked about this in my story a couple days ago. Every time this happens, for the people that's been through this cycle multiple times, it's like you're watching a train wreck that's about to happen, but there's no
Such a
point in
train
you
wreck.
trying to stop it because it won't stop. People that have come into this hobby over the last few months are super excited about the
Super.
Pikachu, and the moment you see the PSA 10 Pikachu pop up, you're like, I want the shiniest and the best thing at the beginning. And you see the pop, well, the pop is pretty low, it's 100 and something. But then, like people just started grading very soon because that Pikachu's printed pretty well. The population will exceed 10,000 in PSA 10s by the end of the year, or by the end of 2025, I would say. So it being a $3,000 PSA 10, for those of us that have been around, we're like, oh man, like that
Like,
person it paid a lot. I really think that card would come down to around $1,000 for a PSA 10 in the next like 6 to 12 months. Just because there's so many other exciting new shiny new Pokemon that's coming up in the next year, right? You're gonna have all the evolutions from Prismatic Evolutions, the Team Rocket
mhm.
sets, the gym set. So even though this Pikachu is still gonna be desirable, I don't see it maintaining as a $2,000 card, even though you
No.
said it's already come down from 3,000. So don't buy the shiniest, newest, hottest
No.
PSA 10 when it first releases. Obviously, there's anomalies like the Moon Brown. When it came out, it was $200. It didn't come down; it actually went up even more. But that's like a once in a generation event, I really think. So you
Yeah.
can't count on every time I say what I just said to a new collector. They're like, "Yeah, but what about the Moon Brown?" Right?
Yeah.
That's like one card, or
One
maybe,
card.
yeah. It's that's not gonna repeat itself very often, right? More
Yeah.
often than not, your newest first to, I don't know, 20th PSA 10 for the number one chase card for a set is gonna be higher. It's gonna be the highest sold at least in the first 5, maybe 10 years. Maybe 10 years from now, it will be higher than 2000. Who knows? But even that, I'm not putting my money on it because all of these modern chase cards in PSA 10s are going to be so astronomically large when it comes to the pop report, right?
If
So
I had a
anytime anyone asks me, is like, what do you think is a good modern card to invest in PSA 10? I tell them none of them, because the upside is so low for modern PSA 10s. Because if they're like, oh, what about something that's overlooked? I'm like, if something is overlooked, that means the population is lower. That means it was never that popular at release. And if ever it gets popular, people on their raw cards will start grading them. If it's really popular at release, it's probably already got 5 figures in PSA 10 population. So that again will limit its upside. Again, you have Moonbrown, which is an anomaly, once in a lifetime type of thing. Not every card is going to be a Moonbrown. You're going to see things come up over and over again. Like the popular title, clickbaity title, is a random Umbreon card, new Moonbreon, right? Or the
We've
sun
seen
guard
that
from
before.
151. New Moonbryon? You know, it's
Everybody is comparing every card to Moonbryon because
yeah,
that's like the poster child for
yeah.
modern. But I think the Pikachu SIR 10 is going to probably be around. It's going to drop down to between 600 to 800. There's no way that, in my opinion, I don't think this card is worth more than the Gengar Mimikyu from Tag Team, which is $1,000 PSA
Mhm.
10, or the Garatina V PSA 10, which is $1,000. It just doesn't make any sense to me that this card is going to be more than $1,000
Yeah.
like 6 months down the road.
My hot take is it's not even the nicest card in the set. I think the
Right.
Latias and the Milotic are both better
They're
artwork
so beautiful.
than the Pikachu.
Way
I
better.
personally think the background being white for the Pikachu SIR makes it look like a regular full art. You
Yeah.
know, when I looked at it, I was like, "Yo, this is the SIR." Like, obviously, it's still a very cute Pikachu, and Pikachu's super popular, but it
Yeah.
lacks the color and the depth of like the Latias or like the Milotic that's in the same set. I actually haven't pulled either of those guys. So we in the first week we've seen 5 of the Pikachu SRs pulled from our shop. But that's not like indicative of the actual pull rates. It's just because Pokemon has bashing issues and we just happen to have every SR pulled being the Pikachu. I know some other people have every SR pulled being other stuff and never pulled Pikachu. The pull rate's about 1 in 1100 packs, according to a lot of the data that I've seen. Danny Phantom, a lot of these other TCG player datas. So it's still a relatively hard card to pull, but the artwork is just not that special to me. I don't
You're
see
right.
it as something that people will remember in 2-3 years being that card that everyone wanted. Well, maybe it's because it's at the beginning of the hype, that it's like it's getting that notoriety right now, but we're gonna get so many amazing sets in 2025 that I really think people are gonna move on from this card and chase the next shiniest thing.
Yeah, I've already moved on. I sold my Pikachu SIR copy because I looked at the white background. I'm like, there's nothing special.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
apologies for those
Oh,
Pikachu
sorry
SIR
for
lovers out there, but like you know how when you look at Diamond on a photo, like you want to look at it in person. So I tried to reserve my judgment for the Pikachu SIR until I have it in person. And when I
Mhm.
looked at it in person, it was just not that impressive. So I sold it when it was at the peak of 550 for the raw copy, and now it's dropping down as expected for the
Yeah.
raw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look into some of the other stuff. Pikachu, anyone that's still buying it at around 500 USD for the raw copy and 2000 for the PSA 10, like please buy it because you really wanted that card. Don't buy it because of speculation and believing it long term as an investment because you're probably going to lose money until probably lose money forever. I really don't think it's ever going to be a $2,000 card again. I
Yeah.
mean, we might be wrong, and that's just our
Yeah.
opinion, but it's unlikely because that card is not that special in my opinion. And anybody that says it's amazing, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. Please buy
Yeah.
it because you want that card in your collection for the long term, not because you want to sell it for a profit in 6 months.
Yeah. Artwork is subjective.
Yeah.
Just make sure to not go into debt.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, pay your rent, pay your bills first before you buy Pokemon because it's very it's very delicate in this market. Sometimes there are plays where it seems very attractive where you're like, hey, if I buy this at MSRP, I can sell it for double. If
Yeah.
you do buy it from Costco, that's most likely going to be the case. But you can also see a huge reprint or something happen in the market where this stuff is not as liquid as you think because there's so many people that's trying to sell it. So pay your rent, pay your bills, pay your credit card first before you put your money into Pokemon. This is discretionary income. This is the money that you're okay with investing or
Yeah.
losing. Uh, that wouldn't hurt your lifestyle. So
Right.
don't be one of those like get rich quick.
Especially, those people starting out. They see the exponential gains, such as the whole 151 Costco tens, where they're just tripping over one another to get the 10s in order to resell it for like 100% more.
Mhm.
But also, we have to kind of taking account for sometimes when you do try to resell it on a platform such as eBay or TCG Player, there's the 13% fee where you have to pay and a processing fee along with that. So like for example, if you buy like a 151 ETB for retail at $50 and it goes up to $100, that's 100% increase. So that's a nice that sounds really nice. But if you sell it on like TCG Player or eBay, they would take away 13%. And on top of that, you have to take in account for the shipping fee. So really, you would in the end profit maybe 25 to 29 USD. So you're not actually taking in 100%
Mhm.
or the $50
Yeah, you
extra.
can't just judge your invest it's not like the stock market or real estate where you can kinda just look at the market, "Hey, the comps, my collection right now that I'm if you're not liquidating, obviously, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. But if you're trying to sell, you have $10,000 worth of cards you're trying to sell, you're not gonna get $10,000. Most likely, if you're lucky, you can get 8,000 to 8,500, right? But you can't just base it off of, oh, I have $10,000 worth of product, I've made 5,000. No, you probably made 3,000, or if you're not lucky, probably like 2,500. um, right? So
Yeah.
that's also something that people don't understand until they actually go through that process of selling. It's always the funnest thing to buy, right? I love buying, I hate selling. It's like the experience buying, you're feeling like there's like a high, right? It's like, oh man, I bought so many cards, so nice. But the moment you have to sell and you're looking at, oh, the fees, oh, all the other competition, it's like, why am I placing it on the marketplace for like 10% below market? Still no one's buying. Well, because if you're selling, that means probably 1,000 other people are selling the exact same product that you're selling, and you have absolutely no differentiation here. You're not selling a skill, you're selling a product that's mass produced. So, yeah, you have to anticipate that it's going to take a long time for you to liquidate your Pokemon cards if there ever is a rainy day. And sometimes you really need the money. Let's say there is like a pet surgery, you have to pay for it next week. You're going to have to go to a shop and sell it to them for like 60% market, right? And that's like the only way you can sell it quick, unless you find someone online that can pay like maybe higher, like 65 to 70%. Bulk buyers rarely pay more than like 75%
Mhm.
market for like a collection of steel product, because um, it's not as liquid if you were to sell them, right? It's the same reason. If they buy at 80% and then they have the
Mhm.
13% fees and shipping, they're not making any profit. Why would they buy it from you? Right? So you have to think about it like that. So you don't go into debt buying it. Leave savings for a rainy day, which we will all encounter, unfortunately. So don't
Yeah,
get too excited and put all your eggs into one basket.
exactly. And I see this trend of everybody on their story posts on Instagram or Facebook Marketplace are playing as a reseller. They want to buy things for 70% to 80%. Have you noticed that trend?
I think buying at 75 to 80% when you buy a large collection is a very good price. And that's what like we usually pay like 80% for high-end slab collections.
Mhm.
And then obviously if it's a gold star, we pay 95 to 100 or even more
Yeah.
percent.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of resellers. I would argue there's probably more resellers than actual collectors, which is I think it's a problem in the hobby. I heard it's even worse for sports cards.
Mm.
But if you're at a show, you can see like most of the money or the inventory that's moving is between resellers to resellers, and everyone that's buying is buying in bulk, and they're posting on their Instagram accounts, and then you can see, oh, they're a reseller too. There's very rarely where you see collectors going around and buying up stuff now, which is like in terms of high value things, which is that's the reason why you see there's so many posting or buying at 70 or 80%. And a lot of the times here, hey, but that's the other thing. If they're actually buying 85%, 80%, or even 75%, that's not a bad, like I said, it's not a bad margin. I mean, that's not a bad price because they have to actually sell. If they sell at 100%, they lose like 15%, like I mentioned, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times when they say 80%, they're checking like using the lowest possible comps, right? So
Mm,
let's say a product, let's say a slab is $1,000, and then you have one that goes for 1,100, you have one that goes for 850. Um, the average is $1,000. They're going to be like 80% of that 850, right? So
mhm,
manipulating comps is a
mhm.
huge thing that people do. So it ends up being like 65%. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, if you need the money, that's you're gonna have to sell it for that. And I've had lots of friends that's run into this problem, be like, "Hey, I have to sell my collection, unfortunately." Um, and then they just lose a shit ton of money. And if they're my friend, I try and help them out by paying like 90% or sometimes even just 100% for a card that I want. But not many
Yeah,
people have friends that that want to
I
do
can
that.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's totally understandable. But yeah, if you sell yourself, you would lose probably 13 to 15%. So
mhm,
if you were to resell it for 85%, or if people are picking it up, are willing to pick it up for 85%, that would be a really good,
yeah,
fair thing to do.
yeah. I agree. It's like even at 80%, it saves you the time.
Time.
But you have to really check the comps and be really careful with the comp manipulation that a lot of resellers do. Um, Pick the average. It's not fair to pick the highest one. Let's say the last sold is like a best offer except the price of 1150. And then there's a bunch of comps at like 800 and 900. Obviously, you can't base that off of the one sale that's the highest. I
Yeah,
usually do an average of the last five, which I think it's like the best way to do it.
that's very fair.
Yeah.
What do you use any type of platform or app to calculate the last sold so you can get an accurate prices from the market?
Yeah, so obviously we're not sponsored by these guys, but
Mhm,
for slabs, I think the best way to look at it, and I love how they're presented, is using alt.
mhm.
You can go on the alt app, and then you can actually take a picture of the slab, right? You can take a picture of it, and then it will show you the last five solds. Have you done that before?
Yes, with the alt, I take pictures. Yep.
So I think for the best way to check slabs is using alt, and I think collector is pretty good too. But they don't show you like they don't lay out all of the solds on different platforms like alt do. So I think right
Mhm.
now alt is probably the easiest way to check graded card prices, and then I think still TCG player for raw cards. But we don't really buy raw cards unless we see them in person,
Yeah.
just because it's so easy to manipulate the angles when people send you pictures of a raw collection.
Mhm.
So not only, thank God we have a shop. So a lot of people just bring their raw collections at the shop. We have like thousands of um, we have thousands of Watsy hollows that we're still sorting out. It's actually pretty amazing. I didn't know we had that many, but he was like, yeah, like just like stacks of Watsy hollows.
Wow.
We're actually like picking out stuff that's
Mm.
gradable. Um,
Yeah.
she brought home a bunch of Watsy hollows that she got for the last like 3 months, and I was like, damn, I didn't know we had that many. So yeah,
Mm.
raw card prices, obviously TCG player is the best, but
Yep.
for graded cards, we use alt, and also for I would say for sealed product, TCG as well, but also maybe 130 point. But I feel like the 130 point shows you a bunch of results that are not like relevant, and
Relevant.
it's
Yeah.
really hard to look through it. So
Mm.
probably like sealed product, use collector.
Yeah, for seal products, collector,
Yeah,
or
collector.
sometimes I use the Data IO. Yeah, also
Oh,
has calculates the seal products price point. It pulls data from TCG Player, eBay, last sold, so it shows like a whole bunch of different sources. But I like using Data IO because it shows a total set value of each
hmm,
set. So if you look at
that's really cool.
Surgeon Spark in Scarlet Violet one or Scarlet Violet, it is the number one most valuable set because the total value is over 15, if I'm looking at it right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's a
15.
total value of every card in the set, raw?
Yes. So
Okay, so kind
Surging
of like
Spark is number
the
1.
master set value.
The
Yeah.
master set value for Surging Spark, yeah. And then the second one is 151. So it's currently valued at $1,120. And then Twilight is the next. It's comes in third place.
Wow.
What do
Wow,
you
I
think the
love
next
the
one
total
is?
value. Next one, it's gotta be
I'll
it's
show
gotta be
you
powder
some
and face, right?
choices.
It's gotta be powder and face because of the Mew.
Paldean Fates.
Yeah, either powder and face or powder evolved, but I think it's powder and face.
Let's take a look.
Yeah.
So Paldean Fates, you're
Um,
totally correct.
yeah.
Coming in at 981, so almost $1,000. But Paldea Evolve is not too far behind with that Magic Carp and the Iono. So it's sitting at about 817
Mhm.
and followed by Temporal Forces. I think Temporal Forces is currently being overlooked.
No, I agree.
Um, I mean, look at all the reimagined ancient or futuristic version of the Pokemon that we all love, like the
Not a
legendary
big
dog.
fan of the Suicune, just 'cau I think he's a cool card if there wasn't Suicune, which is my favorite Pokemon, but he was never supposed to be a raptor, he's supposed to be more elegant than that, so I always, like, try and avoid Temporal Forces because of my
Because of that.
personal biases, but yeah, it's actually a pretty good set, when it comes to the artwork, just objectively looking. It's got
Yeah.
some of the cooler, like, unique arts because it's like Jurassic Park looking at it, and then you have,
Yeah.
like, the complete opposite, all the futuristic, reimagined legendaries. Yeah, it is pretty cool.
I mean,
Um,
the Suinku, I feel like have you seen Gremlin? They, like, at nighttime, they turn into this little creature monster, and that's what I feel like when I see Suicune, 'cause with the little claws and the
yeah.
dinosaur hands. But, the stretched out neck for the, Raging Bolt from the Raikou reimagined version is, very interesting. I think
He's
it's
hilarious. Turned from, like,
hilarious.
a tiger into a like, what like a
Uh,
brachiosaurus or whatever you call it?
the long neck.
Yeah, the long neck dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man, I
what
don't
which
know.
set do you think is the lowest in terms of value?
It's gotta be
Master set
Scarlet
value.
Violet Base or Shroud of Fable, let me think. It's gotta be one of the it's Scarlet Violet Base because the most expensive card for Scarlet Violet Base is, like, that gold trainer, and
Uh-huh.
then the second place should be Miriam, which is, like, $21. Um, so and I remember there's, like, 6 cards or 7 cards over $10. I remember I looked at it a few weeks or a few days ago. So it's gotta be Scarlet Violet Base.
So you think Scarlet Violet Base and Shrouded Fable are, like, the lower tier
Yeah,
in
but
terms of value?
I think Scarlet Violet Base is the lowest.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
take a look. So the next 3 is actually,
Oh, wow. I didn't know Shroud of Fable was so high. Well, I guess the Earthen Vessel is there's a lot of playable cards in there.
yeah, so Shrouded Fable actually surprised me when I
Yeah.
was doing this because it's got the Persian. It's got the, Dusknoir illustration rare, that Houndoom as well, so I
Mm,
think those cards propped up the value a little bit more.
yeah.
But Paradox Rift is also an overlooked set, in my
What,
opinion.
your Groudon is more expensive than Roaring Moon now? I actually didn't keep up with that. I just remember there was a Groudon at CJ's shop that sold for, like, $40, and I thought, "Wow, that's
Oh,
like a regular illustration rare. That's so high." Um, but
yeah,
damn, I
it
guess
is
it's
moved
wow,
up.
that's number 1 card.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
yes, that's
It's a
like
cool
the
art though.
Godzilla.
Well, Gen 3 for the win. I love Gen 3. So,
Yeah.
yeah, great. I want a nice Kyogre card because killer whales are my favorite Pokemon. Let's have,
Oh,
like, a cool Kyogre card come out.
yeah. Well, okay, so the last slide should show us the lowest,
Mhm.
tiered
It's gotta be
value
Scarlet
set.
Violet Base, right?
Yeah. So Scarlet
Oh, wait,
Violet is
no, it's
actually not even the
Obsidian
low.
Flame. What?
Did that shock you?
Wait, no way. Obsidian Flames. Wow, there's so many Charizards. You wouldn't really think of that. Wow, that's a surprise. I
Obsidian
still
Flame
think
sits the
Obsidian Flames is a
lowest.
better set to invest in long term compared to Scarlet Violet Base, though, because everyone will always want to pull some Charizards. And I know at the
Yeah.
shop, Obsidian Flame sells really well.
Yeah,
No
it
matter.
is surprising, right? So when you plot out these different sets with the values attached and you look at it from this perspective, it just I know I was pretty shocked when I did this
There's
as well.
no way. What?
Obsidian Flame is the lowest
All
in
them
terms of
Charizards,
value.
5 unique Charizards in that set. It's the lowest? Damn, Charizard's really past his prime.
I think Obsidian Flame came at a time where people are having Charizard fatigue. I don't know if that,
Yeah.
but the
And
crowns,
and they were just way too easy to pull. Way too easy.
that's
And
true. But I don't think they're gonna. I don't know. I heard rumors that they're not gonna reprint Obsidian Flame, or this is they're on the last reprint for
yeah.
Obsidian Flame. So
Wait, that
I
Gardevoir EX is in that set?
yeah, Scarlet and Violet
Wasn't there a
Fates.
Gardevoir EX in Paldean Fates as well?
Yes, there's another prettier one. It's like blue background. It
Yeah.
looks super majestic, but this one is a little bit different.
Huh. Wow,
Mm,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I did remember everyone was getting hyped over the Miriam, and I was like, "What the heck? If this is the number 1 card in this set, I'm done." It's but
Yeah. I
yeah,
think for the
I don't
first
know what happened.
half of Scarlet and Violet, they're trying to introduce all the new Pokemon, like the new generations of Pokemon. And then I think the later half they're gonna focus with the 151, starting with 151, they're gonna focus on all the original fan favorite Pokemon like
Yeah.
Prismatic and then Rocket.
That's always the case with every series. They have the first few being like the new gen Pokemon, and then they kind of flop, just like um, Sword and Shield base, Rebel Clash, and then Darkness Blaze, the equivalent to Obsidian Flame. They always put like a Charizard set in there, making the
Yeah.
Charizards way
Mhm.
too easy to pull.
Way too easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I really think that Obsidian Flame Charizard, if the pull rate was the same as like an all RV max, it would be a very expensive card. I think it's really cool. Just looking
Yeah.
at just his posture, he's like the king with the crown.
Yeah.
I think he's cool. He's just way too easy to pull. I remember we
Way too
pulled like
easy.
yeah.
So for Sword and Shield, if you want to take a guess what the most valuable and what the least valuable set is in terms of total value,
Wow,
test your knowledge a little bit
this will lead
here.
into our game later. I think the most expensive is the easiest. I think everyone will get that right. It'll be Evolving Skies. Are we
Yeah.
talking about the main series sets? Or are we talking about like
We're,
everything?
we're going to talk about the main series and maybe we
Okay.
can put Crown Zenith in there because that's a really important
Yeah. Unfortunately,
set.
Crown Zenith, most of the singles are not very high just because they have so many, and but I think it's still undervalued for both the set as seal product and the
Uh,
single prices is being overlooked. I think number one is Evolving Skies. Number two, man, this is a tough one. Number
y-
two
is it Giratina with
would
the
be
last origin
I
or
feel like um
Gengar with Fusion Strike?
because Fusion
Mhm.
Strike's got multiple bigger cards. It would be probably one of the later sets with the trainer galleries as well. I know Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars had pretty good Galarian galleries.
I
So
think this is gonna surprise you.
I was thinking Fusion Strike number two and then Lost Origin number three. But
That's a
or
very good.
maybe it could be Chilling Rain. 'Cause Chilling Rain had a lot of bangers. Chilling Rain had like at least 10 cards over $25 if I don't remember.
I mean,
But
you're pretty much right on the
yeah.
right track.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Let me set which one it is then.
yeah.
Okay, so Fusion Strike had the Gengar, had the Mew, had
Mhm.
the
Yep.
Espeon. I would say Fusion Strike number two.
Okay.
Um Chilling Rain number three, Lost Origin number four.
Okay. And the rest are just
Yeah.
we'll take a look. And
Damn. Okay,
Chilling Ring is
so we
number 2.
swap. Yeah, Chilling Rain number two. Yeah,
Wow, you
Chilling
know,
Rain was oh, man, I remember when it first came out, everyone put it in the same category as Battle Styles and called it Chilling Pain, right? Um, pull rates were brutal.
it's
Brutal.
the top 2 set with the craziest pull rates in like an awful way that people have made up a name for Evolving Skies as Evolving
Yeah,
Cries, and
okay.
then Chilling Reign as,
Chilling
Chilling
pain.
Pain.
What would Fusion Strike be? Fusion Strike was pretty painful too. I never pulled a Gengar.
That's true. I've never pulled any alt arts. I mean, I pulled some from Evolving Sky, but like that was out of pure luck. But Fusion Strike, nothing there. But still,
Damn.
930. And if you remember, Surging Spark is 1500, right?
Wait. The Moon Brown is 1388 raw? There's something wrong
Yes.
with that.
No,
What?
it really is.
Oh man, that's insane.
I think that's why the PSA 10
Yeah,
slab
it's
is going
being
up.
propped up by the raw prices. Like, damn, 1388 for a modern card that came up 3 years ago. You know, that's more expensive than a raw like shadowless Charizard.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Like,
Yeah, like you can get like a near mint copy of the shadowless Charizard for like $1,800 or $1,500, and like a light play copy for like $1,000, I think. Um,
the demand for this
Somewhere.
Moonbreon is insane.
That's insane. Okay, doesn't make no sense. Okay, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike. Well, that was, you know, on the right track, but I
Yeah.
thought that Fusion Strike having the bigger hits with the Gengar
Mhm.
Espeon, but then Chilling Reign did have like 15, 20 hits that are over $25, so that probably is what saved it.
Yeah, it's got like bunch of Zapdos, or it's like Zapdos and Articuno and
Yeah,
these
and then
in
you got
different
the
variants.
um, I think Galarian Rapidash is in there too, and you have the
I think
yeah,
the Slowking,
Soaking. Yes,
Altard.
yeah, a bunch of cool cards.
Yeah. So if you had to guess what the next 3
It's got to
sets
be
in
like Lost Origin,
Lost Origin's
Lost
gotta be up there,
Origin,
right?
yeah, Brilliant Stars,
Mhm.
Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars, and
You got the
the
Lost
thing with
Origin.
Astral Radiance is there's not a lot of like top end. Well, maybe Battle Styles with the all arts.
I think
I
this
would
one is
say
gonna
probably
shock you too.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Would it
Let's
be
take a look.
okay, let's see it. The voltage? No. Lost Origin Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance. Oh. Wow, I forgot the Machamp is $121. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Misty trainer, or like not the trainer, but like the Starmie V with the Misty art. Yeah, that Astral Radiance. It's got a strong trainer gallery. I was looking at it. I was like, wow,
Yeah, the
like
Misty is really beautiful. I
th-
remember I was pulling it from the first booster box and we got so excited.
Astral Radiance is actually pretty close to Brilliant Star. It's
Mhm.
like 20
And then
$20.
Brilliant Stars, I thought it's underrated. There is the Umbreon VMAX trainer galleries in Brilliant Stars as well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's really
Because
cool.
I think okay, so Charizard fatigue is an actual thing, but the Charizard V is a gorgeous card. I think I love dynamic cards where like the Pokemon look like they're doing something.
Yeah.
And this Charizard definitely looks like he's about to roast Venusaur's ass. So I think it's pretty hard to pull. Super cool card. It's a Charizard and it's $161 compared to some of the other ones. I actually think it's pretty undervalued, right? And also, yeah, I remember it's got a pretty sick Galarian gallery as well because I know the Umbreon's in there. I'm pretty sure the Pikachu, Red's Pikachu is in Brilliant Stars as well, right? Or is that in Lost Origin?
I think that one is in Lost Origin Trainer
Okay.
Gallery. And then Evolution's trainer galleries are in Bruin Stars. So with
Yeah,
that
they're
big
they're all really nice sets. I think
Mhm.
Sword and Shield is gonna go down in history as like probably one of the best eras when it comes to Pokemon design
Yeah.
artwork. It's so cool. We're gonna look back and look back and reminisce and be like, hey, remember we opened cases of Sword and Shield products? That'll be so cool.
That's
Yeah.
why I've been buying Sword and Shield booster boxes, like secure
Yeah.
my position.
That's right. They're also like pretty liquid. I feel like we did sell quite a bit of Evolving Skies cases during
Well,
the 3-4 months after, because we bought them so cheap. So the other thing is, don't be afraid to sell, because I can always find better deals to buy. And
yeah.
every time I put up like Evolving Skies case for sale, it's just gone in like an hour.
Are you selling them at market or close to market?
Yeah, sometimes a bit over too. No, I'm pretty close to market. Pretty close to market. Um, just
It's
because it's
it's hard
pretty
to find
easy.
a minty box, so you can definitely sell
Yeah,
it for a little bit higher for those seal collectors.
yeah, exactly. So, um, s- this is like the blue chip stock. It's way easier to sell in Evolving Skies than it is to sell like 10 battle styles.
You
For
know,
sure.
on TCG Player, there's only like about 4 to 6 Evolving Skies boxes left at like 900 and 940, and then it goes up to 1,000.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty
So
insane. $1,000. Who would have thought?
yeah,
3 years. Yeah, every time somebody like, okay, so people that are not in the Pokemon hobby don't understand how this is an investment. You see it on Reddit too, which I'm surprised, because if you're on like Invest, and there's people like literally shaming anybody that puts money into Pokemon, right? And then you show them the chart. Everyone's like, "Oh man, this guy's a degen, like he's wasting all his money on Pokemon." I was like, "Yo, show me an investment in your amazing portfolio that does this: $110 to 950 in 3 years."
yeah,
What are you talking about? Like you put your money into like what, Apple stock, Tesla, like Bitcoin, um, Nvidia, like what are you talking about that compares to this, right? There's
yeah,
only a select few things that you can buy in 2021 that went up like 9x, right, in 3 years. So anybody that's like questioning the pokey investments, I mean, you can look at Evolving Skies, but yeah, it's also not, that's not going to be the norm. Like you can't have expectations of finding the next Evolving Skies
yeah.
pretty
That's
much ever again. I don't know.
yeah. That set is just so strong. Like 3,500 in total value for that set.
38, 49.
38. Oh
Damn,
goodness. Yeah. It's like triple of every other Sword and Shield set.
that's insane. Well, I wonder, can you pull up Team Up?
Team Up, yes, I can overlay it, but Team Up
Okay.
is about similar to Evolving Sky, but a little bit less, like around 3,500.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with Team Up, I think the top end is pretty close, but also it is extremely short printed. I would probably venture to say that Evolving Skies is probably printed 4 to 5 times more than Team Up did.
Yeah.
So, Team Up literally never got a second wave, and it was
I
just
know.
at the end of an era, and they were printing Hidden Fates, they were printing the new Sword and Shield sets, never got back to printing Team Up, and because by the time they had probably time to reprint, Team Up was already like out of rotation, so that was like a
It's
once in a lifetime
crazy.
event there as well. So, not saying that Surging Sparks is going to be the next Team Up, but it has the potential, like 15-20% chance that it won't get reprinted. And if that's the case, then it will go a lot higher. But I also don't think it's as strong as Team Up. But
Yeah.
if any one of these sets never gets reprinted before they're out of rotation, that set will be the set to invest in. Once in
Some
a while, it happens.
Once in a while, yes. Okay, so I pulled up on Pokedata.io, and the total value for Team Up set is 3,281. So a
Wow.
little bit less than what I predicted, but it's still really up there along with Evolving Skies. A little bit below Evolving
What is the
Skies.
Locky alt right now, Raw? It's like
Uh
1,200.
958.
What? Oh, the PSA 10 is more expensive than Moonbron, but well, I
Maybe I'll
guess
catch
top
up.
one,
Maybe I'll catch
it's
up.
top
Maybe the raw.
1,000 though, so a lot less than the Moonbron. That's probably why.
Yeah. Well, I think some people are speculating that Temporal Forces is not going to be reprinted. I don't know what that's about, but there's just a lot of speculation out there again, guys. So don't listen to everything you hear, but
Mhm.
always just make the investment choices that make sense for your budget.
That could very well happen. I mean, that's still in rotation. Pokemon prints due to demand and also competitive play because it is a TCG at the end of the day. So if there's cards that are still relevant in the TCG, they will give them the incentive to print more to give access to the players. So
Yes.
yeah, that's the other thing that I heard. If there's a set that's really collectible that doesn't have any playable cards, that set will be less likely to be reprinted. So you can look into that as well. So the worse it's printed, the higher the price will be in the future because the less the PSA 10s or Becca 10s or Tag 10s, whatever, and also the less competitive cards in there, the less likely it will get reprinted. So there's like certain things that you can add to it. I'm not saying like you should build a formula right now. Those are like the
Those are really good points.
yeah, really
That's
good
really
things that you can look at a high level if you really want to dig into which set is better,
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
So some of the or you can take the alpha investment Rudy approach, and he's like, what? They're all gonna go up. Who cares? We always argue about who's gonna go up first.
I
We're
know,
gonna
like, what are we talking about? Everything's gonna go up, but
I don't want
Silver
haters to
Tempest.
come on us as well and be like, yeah, these guys are just pumping.
Yeah, but Silver Tempest, I think it's still available on Pokemon Center as we speak.
We have so much Silver Tempest
You guys
single
do?
packs. Yeah, it's Silver Tempest is obviously one of the highest printed sets ever, but that Lugia is so cool. Um, yeah,
Would you recommend people spending 143 MSRP USD on Silver Tempest, or would you recommend people spending 163 or 4 on Surgeon Sparks?
damn, that's a good question. I think it's
Curious
pretty
to
close
know.
because Surging Sparks is like you can't get it for 161 anymore. Um, but I anticipate the reprint coming, and when that does come, it will come back down to MSRP, if not a bit lower. So to me, I would buy Silver Tempest now because number one, it's at a lower price point, and once it goes out of print, I don't think it'll get reprinted. And I think for Surging Sparks, you still have 2 years of potential reprints that might come in the future. So you can always come back and buy it at around MSRP, which is below than the current market price right now. I do understand for the people that want to rip it now, that they want to buy it now, but for investment purposes, I would almost always go with the set that's going to be out of rotation and most likely not going to be reprinted or at the end of its reprint cycle
Yeah.
compared to like a modern set, unless there's something crazy going on. But
Yeah.
I would probably pick Silver Tempest.
100%. I'm totally with you on that one too. I would probably go for Silver Tempest before I go for Surgeon Spark, unless I really want to open Surgeon Sparks, but then I
Yeah,
would just buy like loose packs or something at that point.
yeah, that's right. So we're aligned on that one.
And then Battle Style is just the last one from Sword and Shield that has all the alternate arts in the
Yeah.
set. And it's the least valuable, but I think battle styles are still, investable.
Yeah, well, it's if you can get it for under MSRP, I think it's still a good buy. Battle Styles is probably um kind of like the heel of all the jokes in Sword and Shield when it came out. It's like when we always made fun of each other. It's like, yeah, well, we ripped some Battle Styles, but I mean, looking back, it's still a
Yeah.
pretty good set with a lot of alt arts, and I think you can buy it for what like the market price is like 125 or 130, something like
Yeah,
that.
I think you can still get some at around 130s to 140s, but it's definitely there's less and less of it on the market for that price.
Yeah, I think long term it's still gonna perform pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
not as
then
well as the others though.
and then finally Crown Zenith. It's not a main set, but it's a set that is really fun to open. And so I had to put it on there as an honorable mention at
Yeah,
the end.
I think Crown Zenith is the number one opening experience out of all of the sets here in terms of how many cards that you could pull that you would enjoy the artwork. And Yeah, I mean, it's being so available right now. I think it's a good chance for people to buy it until it's no longer available, and it will really go up in price. I think people will remember Crown Zenith as one of the best sets in this era. I really, really think.
Yeah, I
And
totally agree with you on that.
right now, it's a very hot market, and people get emotional around these times. But I would just say keep an open mind and find opportunities where people aren't looking, like we said. Oh, maybe I'll talk about what we kind of briefly mentioned before when it comes to
Mm.
um, like the psychology being a buyer or a seller in this market.
Mhm.
Because as someone that took economics in university as a minor, actually, um,
Oh, I didn't
you,
know that.
you learn about lots of different things when it comes to
Uh-huh.
two-sided markets. And when it comes to Pokemon, there's always I always look at it from both a buyer and a seller because I am both, and we have a
Mhm.
shop, so I've seen the ups and downs where the shop owners have to go through in the last 4 or 5 years. And also as a collector and a buyer and a huge fan of the Pokemon franchise, and I think it's really important to keep um an open mind, and also like emotionally keep yourself in check and look at the both sides, because it's only a healthy market when both sides are at an equilibrium and can thrive. And oftentimes that's not the case. But during times where, let's say, it's a buyer's market and the prices are super low, there's a lot of shops that went out of business, right? So in 2022 and 2023, most of the Pokemon products, or at least the new products that shops get at release, are selling for around $100 or 110. And for Canadian shops like ourselves, we get them from wholesale from distributors at around $100. So that means you're selling it at a break-even point or at a loss. And for us, we're able to survive because we don't rely on Pokemon as not even primary income. We don't rely it as on Pokemon as income at all. But there's a lot of shops that went out of business over those 2 years. And there's a lot of shops that were just barely staying alive for the passion. And a lot of people that open shops have a passion for cards, right? So they were like making making it work with some of the other sales. And during
Mhm.
that time, the buyers enjoyed tremendous opportunity to buy products at way below MSRP. $100 for a booster box is pretty much the same as it was 25 years ago when Pokemon first started printing for base set and jungle and things like that. People don't remember that, but it was $100 then. If you look at inflation, like real estate prices 25 years ago at any of your markets, it's probably 3 times cheaper in the late 90s than it is now. So it is really unrealistic to expect Pokemon product to stay the same
Right.
after 25 years. So buying at $100 is already like a privilege for the buying side. And during that time, stores are barely making ends meet, right? But now there is a bull market, which happens every 4 or 5 years, like what we last experienced in 2020. Now shops are actually selling product at MSRP, which is $161 a booster box, which is where Pokemon or the product is intended to sell for. And people are getting really emotional. I've seen many posts where people said any shop that sells a booster box over $110 is a scam. Like, please don't say things like that, because there's only a Pokemon hobby if both sides of the market survives and thrives. It's not sustainable for the 2022 and 23 market to last 10 years, because all the shops will go out of business and you will have nowhere to collect and buy and play the card game. And it won't be sustainable for this bull market to last 10 years, because if every set that comes out is $200 at release, then it will drive out and price out a lot of the collectors and leave only resellers, which then resellers will have no one to sell it to as an end consumer, and the hobby will die as well. So, gotta keep an open mind. Stop like talking super negatively and hating on both the buyer and seller online, but understand why the market conditions are where it's at. You're gonna get your time to buy stuff for cheap. Now it's kind of like an opportunity for stores to make a profit, but as long as they're not charging over market, it, don't be emotional for buying a booster box at 161, which is MSRP, because that's where it's supposed to sell anyway.
Yeah.
So hopefully shops can be reasonable and not charge like $200 per booster box if they can get product at wholesale, and the buyers don't go online and get super emotional over like people selling it for what's intended to sell at. So that's just something that's unrelated to investing, but just a way for you to keep your psychology in check during these
Yeah.
times so you can still enjoy it. So that's yeah, what I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Very well said. And if you don't like the price, just don't buy it, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to. No one
Yeah.
is forcing people to buy at the market price
Yeah. Exactly. And
or over market.
maybe you are one of those people that only would enjoy Pokemon at a discount, then it's okay. Just like leave for the next 2 years and the market will come back to you in 27. I think 2027, 28. We're gonna have the same market conditions that it was 22, 23, where you can get booster boxes at a significant discount. Or maybe you just don't want the shops to make any money. So you're like, oh, I only want to buy when the shops make no money. Then just come back in 2 years. That market will come back. It is inevitable, right? So it's all a cycle. Just keep your emotions in check and just enjoy the
Exactly.
hobby.
All right, this podcast is sponsored by SlabMags. SlabMags are high-end premium slab protectors with built-in UV protection. I do not want the front of my slabs to get scratched or the color to fade over time. Jesse and I like to protect our high-end slabs with these slab protectors because we value our collection. You can also match it up with so many different colors that will make your slab pop even more. So make sure to check out slabmags.com. And thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.